Hello students, welcome to the lecture on Consumer Protection Act, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the right of consumer, describe the consumer protection councils, explain the dispute redressal agencies. Consumer rights are an integral part of lives, like the consumerist way of life. We have all made use of them at some point in daily lives. Consumer Protection Act 1986 is an important act in the history of the consumer movement in the country. The act was made to provide for the better protection and promotion of consumer rights through the establishment of consumer councils and quasi-judicial machinery. Under the Act, consumer disputes redressal agencies have been set up throughout the country with the district forum at the district level, State Commission at the state level, and National Commission at national level. Rights of consumers. A consumer or buyer is defined as one who buys, uses, maintains, and disposes of products and or services. What is consumer rights law? This legal area encompasses a large body of laws enacted by the government to protect consumers by regulating many of the following business transactions and practices. The Consumer Protection Act gives 8 rights to consumers. The right to disclosure and information. Consumers must be provided with the facts needed to make informed choices and ensure their protection against dishonest or misleading advertising and labeling. The right to choice. Consumers should be able to choose from a range of products and services offered at competitive prices with the assurance of satisfactory quality. The right to representation. Consumer interests should be represented in the making and execution of government policy and development of products and services. The right to redress. Consumers must receive a fair settlement of just claims, including compensation for misrepresentation or shabby goods or services. The right to safety. From a trade and industry perspective, consumers should be protected against production processes and products and services that are dangerous to health or life. How does the Consumer Protection Act protect consumers' rights? The Consumer Protection Act 1986 was enacted for better protection of the interest of consumers. It enshrines the following rights of consumers. Rights to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. Right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard, and price of goods or services so as to protect the consumers against unfair trade practices. Right to be assured, wherever possible, access to a variety of goods and services at competitive prices. Right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation of consumers. Right to consumer education. Methods of consumer protection. The following methods can be adopted for protection of consumers. Self-regulation by business. Business exists to serve consumers. There is a growing realization that business should provide good quality products at reasonable prices. Consumer association. Consumers themselves should insist on value for money spent and ensure their rights. They should organize and unite by forming consumer associations. Consumerism. Consumerism is a social force aimed at protecting the consumers by exerting moral and economic pressure on business community. It is an organized movement of consumers. Legislative measures. Government of India has taken several legislative measures for the protection of consumers. Some of the legislative measures are as under. The Sale of Goods Act 1930, the Agriculture Produce, Grading and Marketing Act 1937, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1948, the Drugs Control Act 1950, the Drugs and Magic Remedies Objectionable Advertisements Act 1953, the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, the Essential Commodities Act 1953, the Standard of Weights and Measures Act 1956, the Trade and Merchandise Marks Act 1958, the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the Indian Patents and Designs Act, the Consumers Protection Act 1986. The Consumer Protection Act came into force on July 1, 1987. It provides enormous powers to consumers and consumer organizations against unscrupulous businessmen. History. Consumer protection as known today has roots even in the daily lives of the Stone Age cavemen. Today's consumerism finds its origin in the late 19th and early 20th century marketplace in the United States. The United States Congress made history in 1872 by enacting the very first of its kind consumer protection law. The passage of the Sherman Antitrust Act passed by the US Congress in 1890 was the next feather in the cap of consumerism. In 1906, the US Congress passed the Pure Food and Drug Act, which, along with the Shirley Amendment, curbs sellers from selling adulterated food. In December 1986, the Consumer Protection Act was reluctantly passed by the Indian government to protect the consumers. Objects. The Consumer Protection Act seeks to provide speedy and inexpensive redressal to the grievances of consumers. It is designed to protect the rights and interests of consumers. Consumer Protection Council. The Consumer Protection Act postulates establishment of consumer protection councils at the central and state levels for the purpose of spreading consumer awareness. The objects of the councils, as per the Act, shall be to promote and protect the rights of the consumers, such as the right to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property, the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard, and price of goods or services as the case may be, so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices, the right to be assured wherever possible access to a variety of goods and services at competitive prices, the right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interests will receive due consideration at appropriate forums, the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or restrictive trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation of consumers, the right to consumer education. These councils are meant to be set up at the state and central levels and will be classified as the Central Consumer Protection Council, the State Consumer Protection Council, District Consumer Protection Council, the Central Consumer Protection Council. The central government is required to constitute the Central Consumer Protection Council by notification on the date specified in it. The minister handling consumer affairs in the central government will be the chairman of the council. Some of the objects of the Central Council are to protect the following rights of the consumers: consumer education, seek redress against unfair trade practices, marketing of hazardous goods and services, access to a variety of goods and services at competitive prices, information about quality, quantity and purity of goods or services. The State Consumer Protection Council. The State Council will be established by the state government by notification on the date mentioned in it. The minister who handles consumer affairs in the state government will be the chairman of the council. The state government shall, by notification, create a council for every district. District Consumer Protection Council. In order to promote and protect the rights of consumers within the district, the Consumer Protection Act provides for the establishment of a District Consumer Protection Council in every district. It shall consist of the collector of the district as its chairman and such number of other official and non-official members representing such interests as may be prescribed by the state government. Dispute redressal agencies. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 provides for the establishment of the following agencies for the settlement of consumer disputes. A Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum or District Forum to be established by the state government in each district of the state. A Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission or State Commission to be established by the state government in the state by notification. A National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission to be established by the central government by notification. District Forum. This shall consist of a person who is or has been or is qualified to be a district judge who shall be its president. 2 other members who shall be persons of ability, integrity and standing and have adequate knowledge or experience of or shown capacity in dealing with problems relating to economics, law, commerce, accountancy, industry, public affairs or administration, one of whom shall be a woman. Jurisdiction of District Forum. The District Forum shall be jurisdiction to entertain complaints where the value of goods or services and the compensation, if any, claimed does not exceed Rs 5 lakhs. A complaint shall be instituted in District Forum within the local limits of whose jurisdiction. Manner in which complaint shall be made. A complaint may be filed with a District Forum by the consumer to whom such service is provided or is agreed to be provided. Any recognized consumer association, whether the consumer to whom the service is provided or is agreed to be provided is a member of such association or not. One or more consumer, where there are numerous consumers having the same interest with the permission of the District Forum on behalf of or for the benefit of all consumers so interested. The central or the state government. Procedure on receipt of complaint. The District Forum shall, on receipt of a complaint, refer a copy of such complaint to the opposite party, directing him to give his version of the case within a period of 30 days or such extended period not exceeding 15 days as may be granted by the District Forum. Where the opposite party, on receipt of a copy of the complaint, denies or disputes the allegations contained in the complaint, or omits or fails to take any action to represent his case within the time given by the District Forum, the District Forum shall proceed to settle the consumer dispute. Where the opposite party admits the allegation made by the complaint, the District Forum shall decide the complaint on the basis of the case and documents present before it. If, during the proceedings, the District Forum fixes a date for hearing of the parties, it shall be obligatory on the complainant and opposite party or its authorized agent to appear before the District Forum on such date. Where the complainant or his authorized agent fails to appear before the District Forum on such day, the District Forum may, in its discretion, either dismiss the complaint in default or, if a substantial portion of the evidence of the complainant has already been recorded, decide it on merits. Powers of Civil Court to District Forums. The summoning and enforcing attendance of any defendant or witness and examining the witness on oath. The discovery and production of any document or other material object producible as evidence. The reception of evidence on affidavits, the requisitioning of the report of the concerned analysis or test from the appropriate laboratory or from the appropriate laboratory or from any other relevant source. Issuing of any commission for the examination of any witness. Finding of the District Forum. After the proceeding conducted, the District Forum shall issue an order to the opposite party directing him to do one or more of the following things, namely, to remove the defect pointed out by the appropriate laboratory from the goods in questions, to replace the goods with new goods of similar descriptions which shall be free from defect, to return to the complainant the price, or as the case may be, the charges paid by the complainant, to pay such amount as may awarded by it as compensation to the consumer for any loss or injury suffered by the consumer, to remove the defects or deficiencies in the services in question, to discontinue the unfair trade practice or the restrictive trade practice, or not to repeat them, not to offer the hazardous goods for sale, to withdraw the hazardous goods from being offered for sale. Appeal against orders of the District Forum. Any person aggrieved by an order made by the District Forum may appeal against such order to the State Commission within a period of 30 days from the date of the order. The State Commission may entertain an appeal after 30 days if it is satisfied that there was sufficient cause for not filing it within that period. State Commission. It shall consist of a person who is or has been judge of a high court appointed by the state government, who shall be its president, 2 other members with qualifications and experience as for District Forum within the state. Procedure of hearing appeal by State Commission. The procedure for hearing of appeals by the State Commission has been prescribed by the state rules framed by the states, which are almost identical for each state. Appeal may be decided ex parte in case the opposite party fails to file a reply to the appeal and or fails to appear himself or through his agent, advocate on the date fixed. Appeals against orders of State Commission. Any person aggrieved by an order made by the State Commission may appeal against such order to the National Commission within a period of 3 days. The National Commission may entertain an appeal after 30 days if it is satisfied that there was sufficient cause for not filing it within that period. National Commission. This shall consist of a person who is or has been a judge of the Supreme Court to be appointed by the central government, who shall be its president. Other members' qualification. As for District Forum State Commission, one of whom shall be a woman. Jurisdiction of the National Commission. To entertain a complaint where the value of goods, services and compensation, if nay, claimed exceeds INR 20 lakhs. Appeals against the orders of any State Commission. To entertain revision petitions against the State Commission. Procedure to be followed by the National Commission. A complaint containing the following particulars shall be presented by the complainant in person or by his agent to the National Commission. The name, description and the address of the complainant. The name, description and address of the opposite party or parties, as the case may be, so far as they can be ascertained. The facts relating to the complaint and when and where it arose. Documents in support of allegations contained in the complaint. The remaining procedure is similar to that for State Commission. Appeal against orders of the National Commission. Any person aggrieved by an order made by the National Commission may appeal against such order to the Supreme Court within 30 days from the date of the order. The Supreme Court entertains an appeal after 30 days if it is satisfied that there was sufficient cause for not filing it within that period. Limitation period. The District Forum, the State Commission or the National Commission shall not admit a complaint unless it is filed in within 2 years from the date on which the cause of action has arisen. Dismissal of frivolous or vexatious complaints. Where a complaint instituted before the District Forum, the State Commission or the National Commission is found to be frivolous or vexatious, it shall dismiss the complaint and make an order that the complainant shall pay to the opposite party such cost not exceeding INR 10,000 as may be specified in the order. Penalties. Where a person against whom a complaint is made or the complainant fails or omits to comply with any order made by the district forum, the state commissions, as the case may be, such person or complainant shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 1 month, but which may extend to 3 years. And also with fine which shall not be less than 2,000 rupees, but which may not extend to INR 10,000 or with both. Consumer Protection Councils. The Act provides for the establishment of the Central Consumer Protection Council, the State Consumer Protection Council. Objectives of the Council shall be to promote and protect the rights of the consumers, such as the right to be protected against the marketing of services which are hazardous to life and property, the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard and price of services so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices, the right to be assured, whenever possible, access to a variety of services at competitive prices, the right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interest will receive due considerations at appropriate forums, the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or restrictive trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation of consumers. National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, NCDRC. The Act empowers the central government to establish a National Consumers Disputes Redressal Commission. It is headed by a sitting or retired judge of the Supreme Court of India. The National Commission shall have jurisdiction to entertain complaints where the value of the goods or services and compensation, if any, claimed exceeds rupees 1 crore and appeals against the orders of any state commission. Call for the records and pass appropriate orders in any consumer dispute which is pending before or has been decided by any state commission where it appears to the National Commission Consumer Protection and Consumerism in India. Plight of the Indian consumer. An examination of the important problems facing the Indian consumer would make clear the need for more effective government intervention and consumer movement to safeguard consumer rights. The following factors make the plight of the Indian consumer miserable. Short supply of many goods and services, especially of essential items, is a very serious problem afflicting the Indian consumer. Many products with which consumers in advanced countries are quite familiar are still new to a very large segment of the Indian consumers. The unfamiliarity of the consumers with product features makes the sale of substandard, inferior or even defective products easier in India than in advanced countries. Due to low literacy levels and unsatisfactory information flows, the Indian consumers by and large are not conscious of all their rights. Consumerism in India is not well organized and developed. Though there are a number of laws to safeguard the interests of consumers, they are not effectively implemented and enforced to achieve the objectives. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learnt in this lecture. A consumer or buyer is defined as one who buys, uses, maintains and disposes of products and or services. The Consumer Protection Act enumerates for formulation of consumer protection councils at the central, state and district levels with an objective to protect the rights and interests of the consumers. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 was enacted for better protection of the interest of consumers. The main purpose of the Consumer Protection Act 1986, as the name suggests, is to protect the rights of the consumers. A Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum or District Forum to be established by the state government in each district of the state